Imagine you get a car for $30,000 with a manual transmission, all-wheel drive, and great decent tuning capabilities. I introduce you the 2022 WRX. One thing I really like about the new WRX are the updated headlights. Now, these aren't DRLs, but I still really like the aesthetic change that Subaru's going for. The thing I really like about the new WRX is this new plastic cladding that goes all around the vehicle. It shows that this is an all-terrain vehicle, and it really stays true to the WRX name. Now, moving on to the back of the car, I really like the new taillights as well. It has this like broken glass look, and it really offsets the controversial diaper of the car. So let's talk about engine specs. So the new WRX is fitted with a 2.4 liter boxer engine that's called the FA24. And you can see it on cars like the BRZ and the Ascent. So I'm here with the owner, and we were kind of talking back and forth about the transmission because I wasn't sure if it was a new transmission or if it's just a new transmission with just like better internals. But you had a better way of explaining it to me. So what is it that's new about the new transmission?
So first and second gear in this car are actually a little bit longer than the outgoing generation. You've got third, fourth, and fifth gear being shorter gearing, and sixth gear also being a longer gear, specifically for highway driving. Second gear is kind of the sweet spot for this car, so they wanted to make sure that you had plenty of play time with that, rather than shorten it and have less of a power band experience.
So another thing I've been hearing about the FA24 engine, and especially I've been hearing it on the BRZ and GR86 models, is that when people are going to track the car, there's like some issues with the RTV and like the oil pan issues of I don't know, just debris getting into the engine. I mean, personally, I wouldn't feel confident if I was gonna go and track this car. Like, it doesn't feel like it's track ready, but what are your kind of opinions and thoughts on that?
You know, I haven't really heard much about the RTV issues with this specific FA24, the turbocharged rather than the natural aspirated version. I mean, for me, I don't plan on tracking the car, maybe an autocross here or there, but this is really my daily driver to get to work and back home. So I don't really see too much more spirited driving than you know, the occasional back roads on a nice day.
Yeah, because I mean, it's still a really strong and robust engine from what I've heard. It's just like, you know, it's still pretty new, at least from a tuner's perspective. Like, where can we fit in that category?
I think only time will tell. Just like with the FA20, a lot of people started pushing more power and then saw the result of that, a little bit of block issues. So definitely, as we see more people pushing power out of this, I've seen a lot of reliable figures, but again, only time will tell on an issue like that.
All right, so we're driving the WRX 2022, and already, like, one of the first things I really liked about this car is the steering wheel. When you come into the car, it feels like a sports car in at least the ways of like driving it, and if you get it in a 6-speed manual, that aspect also kind of feels like it's a driver's focused car in a way. A lot of design aspects about this car makes it feel sporty, like the carbon fiber on the sides here, some of the red accents on the stitching. It is very well presented, I would say that, but I would say in terms of material and quality, it is a little bit lacking. I mean, that's nothing to be surprised about from Subaru, but I mean, still, like, the fact that it still looks nice and, again, it's presented well, it goes a long way for when you design the interior of a car, in my opinion. Because you're in the interior of the car most of the time. So this bottom screen really only controls the climate controls, and honestly, like, at that point, just put the buttons and analog buttons there just to make it easier, because tapping and going up and down, I just feel like it's just like a concept that just never worked and never should work. So then on the top screen, you're gonna get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You know, nothing really too much to elaborate on that. And now with the driving, with all the technology right here too, you still get a screen in the middle of the gauge cluster, which you can get your boost gauge, your miles per gallon, your miles per hour too. and also what gear you're in, so your gear selector and all that. The steering does feel very precise. It does feel like an all-wheel drive car. Like I have a lot of control of the road and of my turns. I'm not too worried about missing something, or even just the direction of just like pointing, like wherever I'm pointing the wheel, I feel like the car is going there too. And the boost feels really nice too, especially when you feel it kick in. Like you can definitely feel like this car has a lot of, again, going back to the engine, it feels like it's a big step up from what they had before. It feels like a really good driver's experience, and you're still only paying $30,000, and I would say you're getting a sports car with that too. You can hear the turbo spool up a little bit. So this is still a relatively new car, and I have a 2014 370Z, which we will do a video on soon, so stay tuned for that one. But going back to this is, my car, has the VQ, V6, and this has the Boxster turbo engine, and relatively they feel quite the same in some aspects, but this one definitely has a bigger kick to it. And I would say I would like to see these two up neck to neck to see what it would be like, because this does feel like it has that higher end rev range boost that kicks in. I mean, for a Boxster engine, it's from my perspective, it's very impressive. I feel like this car is a good runner-up for just the Subaru brand. This car is going to be going places for sure. I think ultimately, like, this is it. I'm happy with it. This is such a great platform, just based off of what I'm experiencing right now. Also, this car's transmission is really smooth, and kind of like every other aspect, everything is just smooth about it. Where my mind is going from a tuner's perspective, it's like kind of opens the doors a lot more. And I feel like Subaru listened to the WRX fans and put a more robust engine in it, because I feel like they're kind of done with all the trash talk and actually wanted to get down to business and be like, hey, we can still make a really good car, and here it is. At the beginning of reviewing this car, I was a bit skeptical on it because of the previous models. But after driving it, reviewing it a little bit, and looking at more of the in-depth details of this car, it's really been growing on me, and it's actually surprised me a lot. And I'd say in conclusion, this is Subaru listening, and this is Subaru putting a product for the customer. And I feel like even though some of the customers are just, explorers, I would say, it is still hitting the mark of having a robust engine for those tuners, and also having that economy and daily drivability to it. As we'll see more of these on the road, I think we'll start to see more of that reliability and tuning capabilities in the future.